Hello and welcome to NAU School of Hotel Restaurant Management. Today I'm going to show you how to properly peel and dice and julienne an onion. Now before we begin, we have to understand the ingredient functionality of how things work. Onions, they have these beautiful layers that protect them around there, and this is the root end of the onion. And it stands to reason that there could be E. coli in the root end. So what we don't want to do, and I see this quite a bit, is people taking the onion on their cutting board and dragging their knife through that root end and dragging the E. coli that could be there through all the layers of the onions. We don't want to do that. So let me show you first how to properly peel an onion to avoid that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to peel on some type of sheet pan or tray that is not on our cutting board. This is called a cutting board, not a peeling board. So we're going to put that on there, and I'm just going to take a paring knife and go underneath the root end about 3/4 of the way, grab it, and peel straight down. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. On the flowering end, I'm going to come over here and just go about 3/4 of the way through, grab it, peel, all the way down. Okay? What we've done is we created a nice little area for us to either use our paring knife to peel it off, or if you don't like to have that, you can also use your hands and just peel out that outer layer of onion. It's very easy to do. Try and get this little skin stuff off too. So that's what your final product should look like. It's always best to peel your onion first for safety, making sure not to drag that root end with the potential E. coli all the way through. Also then, from here, you can decide what you want to do. If you cut it in half first and then peeled it, which I know a lot of people think seems easier, you're limiting what you can do with the onions. So you could, at that point, you couldn't cut rings out of it. Okay, so that's how to properly peel an onion. Then what you're going to do is, you'll notice the onion has a root end and a flowering end. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to dicing. So I'm going to dice half the onion, and then I'm going to julienne the other half, or French cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut straight down the onion through the root end, like that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, when I was kind of coming up and learning how to cook, we were taught to cut onions like this. We had to cut straight down this way, up and down. We turned it this way, and then we had to cut this way, going up, right? And then we had to cut down this way to get a nice sized dice. But after a little bit of thinking, the only reason we're doing these horizontal cuts was because this outside layer was very, very thick from that first cut. Okay? If you look at the shape of an onion, it's like an arc or a rainbow. Okay? So if we think about this now, if we just take our knife and we cut with our blade facing towards the center like this, now we don't need that horizontal cut because we're cutting everything the appropriate size. So we're eliminating an entire knife cut by thinking about what we're doing. Let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to put my knife right on there, and I'm going to drag it back. Okay? And notice I'm not cutting all the way through. I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch to keep this root end intact. And I'm going to work my way all the way up. Okay? And as I get towards the top, my angle is straight up and down. And then as I start to work over this way, my blade starts facing in. So I'm always facing in towards the center of that onion. Okay? Straight up and down. I'm going to start to angle the other way. Okay. Notice how easy that is to grab. Then I'm going to turn it. And what I like to do on the cutting board too is I use the perpendicular and parallel lines of the cutting board to guide my peripheral vision while I'm cutting. So typically for me, I'm right-handed, I'll work down in this corner. If you're left-handed, you'd be down here on this side working in this corner. But what it allows you to do is use this line and this line to ensure that your blade is parallel and you're not cutting at an off angle. So from here, simply all I'm doing is cutting my dice. And here sometimes people get a little stuck towards the end because they don't know what to do. I will stop here, lay this end flat, work my way across, cut my dice out of this side, and I will even take this little piece out of here right? And that has root on it, so I won't use that. So that's all I have left from the root end. All this gets used. We don't have a big nub at the end that we're going to throw out. From here, then I'd go back and kind of look through and see if I need to just refine some of these cuts a little bit, or I'll use them in a separate preparation. But this is your small dice. Okay. For julienne, very simple. The only difference here is now we're going to remove this root end with what's called a V-cut. And all I'm going to be V-cut is simply cutting this out and this out at little angles. So it looks like an upside down V. I'll do it to the camera so you can see. And what that does is it removes the root first, okay? Because we're not going to do the cuts going down this way. We're going to go straight through. So from here, I'm going to use that same principle of angling my edge towards the center. I'm not going just straight up and down. Because if I did that, I'd have this big piece like this. I'm going to start going in like this. I'm always moving the blade. I'm not pushing straight through. Once I get straight up and down, right from here, I can push this over, drop the onion, and then work on the other side. Now when I get towards this back and I like to go forward, just for me it's a little bit easier. That way I can get everything through. But this is now a julienne or French cut where you can get these nice slivers of onions like this that you can use for stir fries or French onion soups or anything like that. All right, so you can just vary the thickness of this, and that's how you cut an onion.